because I'm really better than most of these dudes.
Let's go.
And women are just under more scrutiny. It's harder for us. It's like they really try to analyze every single lyric. It's like I hear dudes dropping filler bars all the time. You don't hear a filler bar in my music.
Yeah. All right, Wynne, what am I making you today?
Just whatever's gonna wake me up.
Just punch in the face?
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
Bet.
I love a little caramel in there as well.
I got you.
I want whatever Ty got.
Was it fire?
It's bomb, man.
All right. Okay. Well, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Tell me about this song real quick. When was the first time you heard it?
That's fire. That's crazy. Yeah. So this song is called Dynamite. This is a classic in my lifetime. I first heard this song probably back in high school, but I didn't really like dive into it until about my freshman year of college. I played in a band called the Ill-Equips, which was kind of a riff off. In here you hear them saying Illifith.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't catch it. Okay, yeah, that's fire.
So my band and I performed this song. This is really the song that I learned how to freestyle to. Yeah, this is a cult classic for me and my friends.
What else were you listening to?
What else was I listening to?
Yeah.
Like growing up or in college?
Growing up.
Oh man, it was a lot of Lupe Fiasco. It was a lot of The Cool. It was a lot of 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Black Album. It was a lot of Alicia Keys and Eminem, I said that, Kanye, Lil Wayne. That was kind of my early years. And then once I was in high school, that's when Kendrick and Cole and Chance and Drake all started coming out. I was lucky that was my high school era.
That was such a defining moment too.
Oh, crazy.
They were the holy trinity back then.
Oh yeah. But it's interesting because when Drake first came out, he was really on some singing shit. And I was at the time just such a hip hop purist because I was a Cypher kid. You know? I was listening to Illmatic, and so Drake comes out, and us all in the underground world were I don't know about this guy.
I was
he's singing about his feelings a lot.
I'm gonna admit I was the biggest Drake hater.
Yeah. And
then you listen to Take Care in context.
Yeah.
And then you're just okay, yeah, this shit's fire.
I mean, now he's one of my favorite artists for sure.
How did you get into Cyphers?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I kind of just that's always what appealed me, the wordplay, the punchlines, the audacity, the confidence. I just really aspired to be that way and to have that tool in my belt.
Yeah.
And so I initially started writing songs like any aspiring rapper.
Yeah.
And always found that my unique talent was wordplay and was being able to make people kind of
that's stuff.
Yeah, so then I was kind of able to really focus on my 16s and my 24s and make sure that I was really packing them tight. That's really why I fell in love with hip hop. It was a word puzzle for me.
That's actually an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah, which is why I loved Eminem so much growing up. Was he was. Just the rhyme schemes, the amount of words he was able to fit into a line that rhyme, but it was fluid. It made sense. I don't remember who said it. It might have been Fonte, but they said my favorite rhymes happen to be the things that just happened to rhyme. You know, it wasn't people were forcing a rhyme in there. It's just they're flowing. It just happened to rhyme.
Yeah, you can. I feel when you're forcing rhymes, when it's not intentional, you can. I don't know, the listener can sense that.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
It's you're just trying to fill in space.
Absolutely.
With you, one thing that I love about you that we'll get into in a bit is that you're confident, but also it's not forced confidence.
Right.
It's just,
thank you.
You're confident.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask in terms of going from Cypher to like actually making songs as an artist.
Yeah.
I feel like they're both organized in different ways. Whereas like Cyphers, like you said, you're just trying to get out. You're organizing your 16s to get basically just punchline after punchline.
Yep.
Whereas songs, it's more so of like the overall theme and structure.
Definitely.
I wanted to ask, how was it like transitioning between like a Cypher mindset to like, okay, let me make a song?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because like, I think in order to do any kind of art form, but especially to like be a rapper as a white girl from the suburbs, you have to be like a certain level of crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I was so much aware of my lack of ability to write songs until other people made me aware of it. So like, I was, you know, I had rapped hooks and shit that I thought was catchy or cool or whatever back in high school, but it wasn't until I started to kind of poke my neck into the industry a little bit that people were like, "Ah, she can't write a hook." Yeah. And so it was a lot of artist development. I mean, I think that's a slept on thing these days because people shelve artists so fast, they give up on artists so fast, they don't watch them develop. Like, most people are listening to catalog music these days, so it's not like they're coming with an artist from the time they have 1,000 followers to 1 million followers.
Yeah.
And so I've been super lucky to have, you know, my fans stick with me for so long and my team to stick with me for so long because I was really like spending a lot of time learning melody and learning hooks and learning structure, and it's a challenge. Like, I think that's part of what's been exciting for me about, you know, trying to write some more accessible music is it's like I spent so long like sharpening my craft as an MC that to me this is just an exciting new challenge. Like it's harder for me to do. So it's like become more fun in that way. Like, cause I was just writing crazy punchlines for like 10 years before I was like, oh, let me like try to add melody or something.
Do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like the industry is forgiving of rebrands of artists?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I'm not in my experience. And it depends on the fans too. I think a lot of people are, and I think a lot of people aren't. I think especially as a woman, like you're pigeonholed into a box pretty early on, and people, like I have a lot of male fans, and I think, you know, they want to, fans in general, they find an artist early, they want to keep them that way. I was 19, you know, like when a lot of these, 18 when a lot of these people found me, and I'm 25 now, so obviously I'm going to change, I'm going to grow up, I'm, you know, growing as a woman, so there's always some backlash, there's some like, whoa, what is this, I'm unfamiliar with this, but I think it just takes time. I think people don't love change all the time, but you know, it can often be a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's really good, you're right.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, no, this is really good. That's fire.
So you are from Portland?
I am. I'm from a little suburb right outside of Portland, yeah.
Born and raised?
Mm-hmm.
What's it, Lake?
Whole life. Lake Oswego.
How was it like living there?
It's unique. It's comfortable. It's safe. It's calm. You know, it's like a pretty like white little suburb. I mean, you know how white Portland is. Like Lake Oswego is whiter.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, that was pretty white.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, yeah. When I was there in 2020,
honestly, it was welcoming though when I went.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but then again, we were in the forest, so I guess we were just
right. Yeah, you were in Mount Hood, so it's like pretty different. You're not seeing very many people out there. Yeah. But yeah, it was. You know, I was really fortunate for the family that I have and the way that I was brought up, and I kind of in that also didn't really fit into my community. Like, it just felt like kind of an outcast. Yeah. Didn't really have friends like that. And I think I grew up as like such a tomboy, like through and through. Oh yeah, like, I mean, you see my pants.
It's great though. No, you look good.
I'm out here looking like Nelly. But yeah, I had an older brother who was 3 years older than me, and I have an older sister as well. She's 5 years, so it's a little bit more of a gap. And so I was always hanging out with my brother. Yeah. He was a basketball player, a football player. My family's like a football family. I was a big basketball player, soccer player, and he put me onto hip hop when I was 9 years old. And I just fell in love with it immediately and was like, oh my God, like, this is the greatest thing I've ever fucking heard. And I've always kind of said hip hop is very much like an outcast art form. I think people really lean to it and as like a form of poetry to like express themselves and almost like have a dialogue with yourself, I think. And that was me, you know. I was like, it was a very comfortable thing for me to lean into. I felt very like at peace. I felt like I was being myself. And growing up in Lake Oswego, I spent pretty much all my time making music.
Really?
Yeah.
Even from like a young age?
Yeah, from like 9. And like I played sports up and through like early high school. I had a bunch of shoulder surgery, so I had to stop. But I was really just like rapping. Like that's all I really did. Because that's what I had to do. You know, I wasn't like going out hanging out with friends. I was like rapping.
Yeah.
Which I think gave me a direction early on when I was 12. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, allowed me to I think what I'm trying to do has really not been done before in hip hop, like a real respected like white woman rapping. And so I think I'm glad I got a head start, you know, because it's gonna take a long time. It's a very brick by brick thing. And so yeah, I was kind of an outcast there. I wasn't really like meshing, which was difficult as a kid. Yeah.
Did your siblings, did they like go on to pursue like other professional careers?
Yeah, well, so my brother works in like he's like a programmer, computer programmer.
Yeah, okay, my brother's in tech too.
Yeah, he's got that brain. I don't have that brain. It's way over my head.
Yeah, the programming shit, you have to be very like methodological. Like you have to think of shit in like sequences.
That's not how I work
I feel
at all.
Creatives think in like splats.
It's way more like feelings and
exactly
and like combining weird references and colors and things that don't make sense to other people, but it works for me. And yeah, my sister worked in books for a long time and she acts as well, but she's working for a company in Bend, Oregon that like helps underprivileged families like find their first homes.
That's sick. Yeah. I don't know. So for me, for instance, like, so there's a joke. A Palestinian will always remind you he's Palestinian. So I'm Palestinian. Okay. With that being said, this shit that like I do is kind of like, it's outcast in nature in context of my culture. So it's like, it can be isolating a lot, especially like growing up in a place where this shit was like, people didn't do it or people kind of looked at it funny.
Right.
So for me, at least, the isolation was cool because it allows you to hone in a different way.
You really get to know yourself. Like I think that's my biggest asset is like I know myself really well, and I don't think that would have happened if I was so distracted with like being at every party or going to every homecoming dance. You know, like I just know myself. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing though. You're alone to do what you want, but you're also alone.
Yeah.
So the feelings of loneliness end up creeping in.
Right.
And then like you start comparing yourself, at least for me, where it's just like, oh, what if this ordinary life shit is the move? Because you're seeing like, for me, everyone in my family kind of has like very professional careers, tech, whatever. And then I'm a traveling barista.
You feel that pressure to
exactly.
like, you know, conform to, you know, what other people are doing. It looks comfortable. And sometimes grass is always greener, you know, like I see my friends who maybe don't love what they do, but it's really comfortable. Like they have a very like normal life. Like they stop work at 5 o'clock and they can go out with their friends and, you know, they have the money to do that and it's comfortable. And it's just different when you're an artist, you know, but it's like, I would never give this up. There's never a time in my life where I've been like, oh, I'm gonna do something else, like ever.
But have you ever felt like lonely being such an outcast in where you grew up in?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think being an artist is a lonely thing. It's like it's a 24/7 job. Like you're constantly thinking about inspiration and things you're doing. Like it's like you're always like you're always like self-reflecting, at least for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm always in conversation with myself about it's very like it's like a cycle. you know, because your career is your life. It's like there's really no separation there.
Yeah, because they try to tell you that like, oh, you're not your career, but also it's different when your career is coming out of like
your life.
A piece of your soul.
yeah.
How was high school like?
How was high school like? Trash.
Really?
High school was trash, man. Yeah, it was trash. Yeah, I was rapping. I was in my room. I was rapping. I wasn't really out doing shit. I was bullied a bit for like what I did, which, you know, understandable coming from Lake Oswego. But like picture this, okay? I'm in high school. I'm 14, 15, 16, 17. The whole time through high school, I'm pulling up in my Nike sweatpants, my Air Force Ones, my Beats headphones, and I'm not talking to anybody.
Not giving a fuck.
Like, that's all I was doing. Just like listening to Good Kid, Mad City in my headphones. Like,
oh, that was the era.
That was me. So people were like, that was not like what people did in my high school. It was not like that. It was like, you know, everyone's a little bit like bougie and the girls are all very girly and feminine, and I just wasn't. So it didn't click. Yeah, so it was pretty lonely. I played sports my first 2 years. I was a goalkeeper, and I played basketball as well. And then, like I said, I had 3 shoulder surgeries, one each year of high school until my senior year. And senior year, I played City League, and I smacked these bitches because none of them really like played basketball. It was just like, oh, this is fun. Like, let's go out with the girls and play basketball. But I was putting up 40 points a game. I was having 10 blocks. I was fucking them up. It was crazy. It was crazy. But so yeah, I played sports mostly through my sophomore year, and then I got a job. I worked at a pizza spot called Pizza Schmitza.
Pizza Schmitza?
And I would like a Pizza Schmitza, yeah.
That's an interesting name.
And I would like beatbox and freestyle for tips and shit and wash dishes. It was fine. And that's like around when Cole was putting out Born Center and then later 2014. And so I associate those 2 albums so much with high school because I was leaving after closing up Pizza Schmitza at like 11 p.m. And I'd be driving home listening to like She Knows or like Land of the Snakes or like, you know, later Role Models or whatever. And I just be like, man, like, I'm gonna be a rapper. Like, I gotta figure this out. Cause at the time I was like, I didn't want to go to college. Yeah. Which is funny because J. Cole's really one of my only idols who like went to college.
And finished his degree.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't need this. Seemed like a little bit of a waste of money. And you know, the world has just changed so much. Now it's like a college degree doesn't get you what it used to get you. So I was doing a lot of back and forth in my head, and my parents were really supportive about it. They were like, you know, you're a young, smart person, and we think you should go to college for A, B, and C reasons and kind of make your call. And I decided to go. I went to University of Oregon, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way?
I found my people there. Like, I didn't have like people who got me, because like people in Lake Oswego, like if they were listening to rap, it was like appropriative. It was like nobody really like was tapping into the culture, like wanted to understand. There's a lot of like throwing the N-word around. Yeah, it was like
very surface level, just like
super. Which is another reason I wasn't like meshing. I was like, this all seems really fucked up. Yeah. And when I went to college, I was able to meet a bunch of kids in the music school who like were heads, who like loved hip hop. And so I played in a band, as we found out earlier, which was awesome. My brothers to this day, there were like 13 or 14 of us. It was like The Roots, which is why that was our reference jam. And we played house shows all around Eugene. And that's how I like really learned how to perform, and on not like a cypher tip, not like on a stage with a mic. Yeah. And learned how to freestyle like that, and you know, kind of had my community there. And I met Itai, who's sitting in that chair on his laptop, probably getting a head start on all the shit we have to do today. Thank you, Itai. And he's my engineer, my right hand. We do pretty much everything together. So I think without that college experience, and also it gave me, I mean, college is a unique time. It's like you're an adult, but you're on training wheels. That's
like, actually such, you're an adult, but you also have like you're not in the real world.
Yeah, you have some structure. Like you're comfortable. You're in a small community. Exactly. Like things are easy and walkable. Like, so that was really fortunate for me. And also just there's not a lot of like education that goes on in like elementary school through high school about like being a social person, living with like having, especially in Lake Oswego, it's like it was like a bubble. That's what people call it. It's like the bubble. Like you're not meeting, it's not diverse. You're not meeting a bunch of new people. You're meeting the same people. Everyone's living the same life. And there's no education about it, right? Like we learn a little bit about Black history and like about the internment camps. Like we learn about some of that stuff in high school, but when I was in college, I was essentially, my minor was like social justice. And I just kind of took the time to like really listen and learn, because that was a big like, you know, I knew the basics as much as I could on like on a book reading standpoint, but like going to college and really learning about it and taking the time to educate myself, I thought was really important for what I'm trying to do, because it's important as I guess in any culture to like come in with the knowledge and know what the fuck is up. And so I think it was important for me to take those 4 years and like really study up on that and like get to know my shit. Yeah,
I mean, without like, I think it's a little obvious, we're both not from the culture that we're trying to be a part of. And like, for me, it's kind of like, it's having a thorough understanding of the history, but also like, I don't know, especially like me being in the media space, not that because it's not me, but like, this is just, I'm being myself, but also I make it a point to be, I guess, extra intentional in the shit that I do. And I make sure that like, I'm not just like another parasite blog. Like,
you have to be, because it's like if people don't think, it's like you don't realize like the way words and things affect people, like especially like just as a white person, it's like you see people say things all the time that it's just like, that was a little tone deaf, like you gotta read the room a little bit. And if you're not being aware of it and you're not like actually being intentional, that shit can like really slip through the cracks. So that's dope that you say that.
Yeah, how would you say, because I don't know, like for you, I guess it's like a double ladder you have to climb. You have to like break pre-assumptions people have, I guess, seeing you as a white rapper coming in. And then also you're a woman in music. Which I feel like the woman argument is starting to
It's like a double whammy.
Yeah, seriously, dude. But I feel like the woman argument, at least from what I'm seeing, it's starting to change for the better. I hope at least.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I just want to know, like, how do you kind of maneuver around that?
I wouldn't say that I maneuver it. I would say that I just kind of let it be what it is. They're two totally different things. And so combining them is interesting. And my whole thing is just like, I just love to rap. I've never expected anybody to like fuck with me. Because like, if I saw me, I would be like, this is kind of weird. I don't know, like interesting. Like if I just scrolled across me and saw a fucking blonde girl rapping, I'd be like, interesting. In fact, I have done that before for other blonde girls and been like, I don't know about this.
And then you listen to you, you're like, oh, this is hard as fuck.
Yeah, and I think that's been my whole thing is like, people see me, you know. I think in hip hop, people will love you if you're true to yourself, if you're authentic, and I think people can see through bullshit, and I think it's very clear in the way that I carry myself and in the way that I like pen my shit, that I really care about the craft, and I'm a student, and I've taken, you know, I've been doing this for 16 years, so I think people can feel that from me, and so I don't feel like I'm not looking to like prove myself. Like I am what I am, and I do what I do, and I love it, and it's for me. And if somebody doesn't fuck with me or doesn't want to approve me, I totally fucking get it, and that's cool. Like I'm not here to convince anybody, and that's on a, you know, that's not on a woman tip. I'm here to convince everybody on a woman tip.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to fuck with me if I'm a white rapper, and that's totally cool. You do have to fuck with me because I'm a woman. Like,
facts.
Because I'm really better than most of these dudes.
Let's go.
And women are just under more scrutiny. It's harder for us. It's like they really try to analyze every single lyric. It's like I hear dudes dropping filler bars all the time. You don't hear a filler bar in my music. But even on like the craziest shit, if some other dude dropped it, they'd be like, damn, this is fucking sick. But on my shit, it's like, oh, this line was dope. And it's like, bro, like,
it's like
they
very
really
selective.
They really put you under a microscope, which is why I think I've been able to sharpen my pen so much. Is like, I know that and I'm aware of it. I'm like, I gotta be buckled up, man, because they're gonna find any chance to poke a hole in it. These fucking guys, they're gonna find any reason to discredit me or to say that, oh, I'm trying to sell my body or I'm rapping about sex or I'm whatever. It's like, I can rap. Like, these are bars. Like, fuck whatever I'm talking about. Like, I'm rapping my ass off, you know?
And it's like you're just being yourself too. Because I feel like, that conversation, because like the majority of the fan base of rap is like men.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's an awkward place where it's just kind of like you're being yourself.
Yeah.
But then it's like the validation comes from like these male fans that don't have context.
Correct. Yeah. And I think it's like, you know, it's interesting because when I was coming up in the underground world, I didn't receive a lot of the backlash that most of the women felt because I was wearing really baggy clothes. And that was interesting because I stopped doing that so much. And it's like now every time I post on Instagram, I get a think piece in my comment from some 40-year-old guy who started following me when I was 19. And it's like, are you okay? You know, like, is this what you're gonna spend your time doing? Like, I'm a 25-year-old woman. And so it was like, being in that underground world, I had a firsthand chance at seeing what that sexism is like. And it's brutal. Yeah. It's like they really don't want to give women their credit, and women are running shit right now. The women are out rapping the men on almost every single fucking level. And it's like, it's frustrating that we even have to separate those things because it's like, you know, rap is rap. If you can rap, then you can fucking rap.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have titties, like, you can fucking rap.
Honestly, yeah, my favorite music right now, that like I go back and listen to, are like all women. Yeah,
because we have to do more. We have to try harder. We have to be better, or they won't even give us a chance. Like, you watch the women perform, and the hair, the makeup, the choreography, the production, the lighting, the video in the background, like, it is so well done every time. You think about Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi, Rico, like you think about Baby Tate, Flo Milli, like you think about these women and man, they're working their asses off and the men come on stage and they're not even rapping their own vocals, they're rapping over a track. They don't have shit going on. There's no production, there's no transition, there's no costume. They pull up in sweats. It's like men don't have to try. They're just accepted.
Yeah, they have more leeway and excuse to be lazy.
Yes, their whole lives. And for women, it's not like that. We really gotta work for this shit. So yeah, on a woman tip, you're gonna give me my respect. On a white rapper tip, totally understand. Totally understand.
When would you say the point came where you're like making a song, you're like, okay, this is going somewhere? Because it's like, I don't know, like as a creative, and I'm sure you can vouch to this, all your ideas have like second and third and fourth lives. For sure.
That's a good way to put it. But also it's interesting because every time, you always think you're good with where you're at. At least that was me.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, when I was 16, like I thought I was making dope songs, like records.
Yeah.
Not like radio records, but I thought I had okay hooks. I thought I was cool. So every time I approach the studio, I think it could be something. I think it could change my life. Like every time.
When was the first time you saw like some significant buzz?
So I went viral in 2016. I posted it was like the Sogon challenge or something. I posted like a freestyle on Twitter and it blew up, got like 50,000 likes and 20,000 retweets or something. Snoop Dogg posted it and it got me like, you know, I think on Twitter it got me like 30,000 followers.
Damn.
But on Instagram it only got me like 7,000 followers. And that's when I kind of, I had like dipped my toenail into the industry before that happened, just because by the grace of whatever, I was found by an incredible, who's now my publisher, but he was working at Apple and Vector Management at the time. So I was a little bit like learning what it's like to work with someone in the industry.
Yeah.
But then when that happened, I came out to LA and I started like to take some meetings and to meet people. But then I took a couple sessions, but then I went home and I worked for another year. I worked with Ty. That's when Ty and I really connected. And we were working on an EP. And that summer, the following summer of 17, I wrote a freestyle as like an homage to the one I dropped the year before. And that one ended up, no, it was the Sogon Challenge, but then I dropped it. It was just another freestyle.
Okay, cool.
But I dropped that and it blew up like tenfold. It was like, 140,000 likes on Twitter, and like World Star posted it, and like people really took a hold of that shit. And that was back when Twitter had like the Common White Girl account, like all those funny little.
Oh yeah, I heard that shit. Yeah.
And so all them started posting it, and that's when it was like, okay, the industry's tapped in now. People know who I am. I came to LA. That's when I met my now manager, Court. I took all the label meetings then and went into that. This time I'm a sophomore in college. I went into these label meetings like, I'm not signing any deals. Like, I'm gonna come and this is gonna be informational. I'm gonna learn what a label meeting is and what they're kind of looking for and how to navigate this, but I'm not about to sign a deal. I don't know who I am as an artist yet, and I wanna like finish college.
Yeah, you have a line on Catalyst too that, what was it? That the label 5 years ago said, no, keep your eye on me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I found it kind of interesting. So I guess the way that I got put onto you was not from the viral moments. It was just like people reposting you, like your music, and I was like, oh, okay, this is dope. And then once I dug deeper, then I found out about the viral moments.
Yeah.
But like,
that's dope.
I feel like what you did needed like a lot of hindsight, that like when you went viral, you made it a point to
pull back.
Yeah. I think
it was really intentional.
Yeah.
I wasn't making, in my head, like, I know I'm gonna be like one of the best lyricists of my generation. But at the time I was like,
I like that.
I don't look like a star yet, and I don't sound like a star yet. Like, I'm not making those songs.
So you had that foresight.
Yeah, so I'm like, I need a couple years to like figure out what I want to do, because I was still like, at the time, like I was really onto like some dusty shit. It was a lot more like underground, and in my head I was like, I need to break through. Like I'm also like leaning towards some of these more modern beats with 808s. Like, how can I make these coexist? And so I was just too lost as an artist. Also, I had just got into the Portland scene in 2017. I had just kind of been ushered into this, because I'm from a suburb that's not widely accepted in Portland, by the way.
Really?
So it was, so there was controversy there of like, the OGs in the scene are bringing this girl from Lake Oswego into Portland, and there was some lashback from artists in the town, like, yo, like, we've been in Portland doing this for a long time, and so it was important to me that they could see me for who I was, and I could take 5 years building my relationships in the city and working with the other artists and the creatives there, and now, they see me.
Yeah,
now they love me, they embrace me. I'm the only one from LA. I'm the only one from LA. But that was important to me. I was like, I don't wanna come into Portland and like, even though I've, been here my whole life, like that's that's the city I was going to growing up. Like, it's 10 minutes from my place, or my parents' place. I was like, I know what this is. Like, I'm not, and that was part of being in college and studying, was like, white people come in and they just take shit. They claim it and they grab it. And I was like, I'm not just gonna walk into the room and go, this is what we're doing now. Like, I'm Portland. Like, I needed to really build those relationships and like show people that like, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. Like, I needed to show people that like, I care about this scene and I wanna help. I'm not just gonna, come from, I'm not gonna come from LO and like blow up and go sign a deal and live in LA and then be like, Portland. Like, that would be whack as fuck. I'm not gonna do that. So it was that, and so those were kind of my two of my three decision makers, and then my third was, I'm not about to be the gimmick. I'm not about to be the white girl that went viral on a freestyle and signed a major deal because she was viral and all the labels know that. And I had some labels admit that to me because we sat down and we had a long conversation where they were like, yeah, we found, you know, in research, we found your socials, you went viral, like that's dope. And then they talked to me and I played them some of my music and they were like, oh, you're like an artist.
Yeah.
You really care about this. And I was like, yeah. And I had one exec go, I'm doing you a disservice because we sign a lot of artists and, you know, it's a gamble for us. We sign 10 artists for however much money and we hope one of them goes. And that's what we were trying to do with you. And I know that's not cool. And like, I'm just trying to be honest with you. Like, you're an artist, you're an MC, you care about this craft. Like, I respect that. This isn't, you know, maybe this isn't your time. Which was dope to me. Like, and by the way, that was a woman who said that to me. Really? So shout out to her, yeah. But it's like, that's crazy.
It's crazy how they like, yeah, shout out to you. That's crazy how they like, not even crazy, because I think it's very easy when you look at your work, it's very easy to understand like, oh, like she cares about this shit. But it's just crazy that like labels think that like transactionally, even though I guess it's a business.
Yeah, it's a business for them. It's like the music is the product, which is not the way artists think, you know? So there's inevitably some friction there. I just thought it was dope that she brought that up because I was 18 and I wasn't super aware of that.
Yeah.
I until she really said it that way, I was like, I knew I was getting these meetings because I went viral, but I'm like, but it's because I'm dope. Like, it's because I'm a dope, but it wasn't. It was because I went viral. And then they realized I was dope and they were like, oh, okay.
Do you think taking a back seat, because you've been going viral again recently, but I feel like now you're like more equipped.
Yes, exactly. So,
do you
that's
feel like,
part of it too.
Do you feel like taking that back seat kind of gave you those tools to?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Like, I was just trying to learn how to navigate it. And like, it was shocking the first couple times it happened. I didn't know how, and the responses were 98% positive, which was fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
Insane. But it was still like an adjustment. It was like, damn, like there's 15 million people who just watched me and now have an opinion on what I do and they don't know me. So that was jarring, but yeah, honestly, Ty and I took the time to just develop me as an artist and my manager, my publisher, we just took the time. We thought about, okay, what's the lane I'm trying to fill? What are my goals as an artist? Where do I want to be at? And how do we make that happen? So now, you know, it's a lot more intentional with when things are popping off. It's more intentional. It wasn't just like I posted a freestyle and it went up. Like that happens too, but it's like, you know, we dropped that song "Look at You" and we shot that music video that ended up popping off.
That went crazy.
And that wasn't intentional in that we made it go viral. It was intentional in that we knew what could go viral.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we need to adapt. People are spending $10,000 on music videos for nothing. Nobody knows the song exists. We need to adapt to vertical. So let's shoot a video.
That's a big thing that I'm even like struggling with.
It's hard. Yeah. And it's like you can get more out of, you know, putting 500 to $2,000 into a vertical video than you will getting 10 grand out of a full music video. So it's like, let's shoot something that caters to vertical and let's roll it out like an album. Let's drop the first verse music video and then drop the next verse music video and then put them together on horizontal on Vivo a month later. And that gave people, because people don't know when music drops, like fans drop something and they don't promote it, it doesn't go anywhere because there's so much music. It's like 80,000 songs being uploaded a day. So it's like, if you want to be in front of people, especially as an independent artist, you got to be reminding them. Because I know even with my favorite, it took me a week to listen to SZA's album. And like, SZA is my favorite fucking artist. Like, if I had the time, I would have sat down and like listened to the album the first night it came out. But it takes time. So I think about, for me, like who I am as a priority to my fans. When there's all these other artists dropping, I'm like, I got to keep reminding them for months because I still have fans who haven't heard that song, you know? So don't stop promoting your shit.
It's like, I feel like now you have to be consistent in like, it's, because there's a debate that it's like, oh, consistency or quality.
Right.
But now I feel like you have to marry both.
You do.
And it gets like very like troublesome.
It's survival of the fittest, yeah. And that's, I think, why the pandemic there was a silver lining in there for me because I needed that time to to develop and to grow up. I mean, when the pandemic started, I was 22 and now I'm 25, and those couple years are like really important in your development. And so
absolutely.
And just, you know, we were all going through so much. Like, there's just a lot to talk about there, a lot to feel. You're growing up a little bit faster than maybe you would like to. And that gave me time to like stockpile some songs and throw enough paint at the wall that I could see which splatters I liked the most with the other ones. Yeah. And I had Look at You last year. That was actually the first song I made that was like, okay, this is maybe what a Wynne hit could sound like.
Yeah.
Because that's been a big question for me in my career, whether it was to myself or from my team or from labels. Like, what does a Wynne hit sound like though? And Look at You to me was, I freestyled that hook and was immediately like, yeah, it was the first thing I did on the beat. I just went, look at me, look at you, look back at me, whatever I fucking said. That's embarrassing. I said that, and then I was like, oh shit, okay.
There's something there.
There's something there. And then we had, you know, a handful of other songs, and you never want to start with your strongest shit. You want to like build up to it. So it was like, let's drop 7 or 8 singles, and then let's drop Look at You. And like, let's get enough attention. Let's regain this momentum we lost in the pandemic. And then let's drop Look at You, and let's try to push that and see what happens. And, you know, with the goals of A, regaining the momentum we had back after we dropped my debut project and going on that Earth Gang tour, and B, like, I want these labels blowing me the fuck up again. And those were our goals. And so it's cool to have come a year and be in a very different position than I was a year ago.
Really, you'd say so?
Yeah, definitely.
So I wish I can pick apart both albums, but like, I don't have enough time. But one thing I do want to say is that, so off the heels of the viral moment, a few years later, If I May drops out.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that because I felt like, especially that interlude, I thought that was like really funny. That like
the skit.
Because it creates a contrast for the fans to like, these are the stereotypes of 1, 2, 3. Then you look at you like, okay, you're nothing like that. Right. And then Do My Own Stunts with Christo, which he is.
He's a freak, man. He's crazy with it.
Christo is one of my favorite producers because his style is his tag, if that makes sense.
Totally, it makes perfect sense.
It's not like he puts the Christo tag on like a generic trap beat. You hear the sample and you hear the drum bounce, you're like, that's Christo.
And you could hear either of them soloed. You could either hear the drums or you could hear the sample and you'd be like, that's Christo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed, a difference between those two projects, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I felt like with the Christo joint, you fell more into place and more confident.
That's interesting.
Whereas If I May, not necessarily you're trying to preface yourself because you don't need any preface, but the Christo joint was just like, I'm here, and I don't need to fucking do this little dance for you to explain why I need to be here.
Right. That's interesting. I wouldn't say that I felt any like, I mean, I'm sure there was a little bit of like overall upping my skill confidence, but I think most of that confidence just came from like my comfort with myself. Like I had just taken more time to get to know myself and get to know my voice. I didn't like my voice for like the longest time.
Really?
Oh yeah, because like I listed my influences earlier, I grew up listening to men, aggressive men. And so I was 16 trying to yell into the mic, trying to be aggressive like the guys. And Itai, who's also my engineer, who's taking a selfie over there in the lighting. I remember specifically we had this really dope beat and it was kind of a slow bounce to it. And like almost like some Jay-Z shit. Yeah. And he was like, just like slow down the flow, just chill, just chill. And I was like, I can't rap slow. I don't have like that voice. My voice is like, it's kind of sultry, like it's kind of soft. It just kind of sits there. And he was like, no, just try it. Like it'll be dope. Like just chill, don't yell. And I did it. And we were like, oh, that's the fucking steez. Like that's what it's gonna be. It's just chill. Cause now I love my voice. Now I'm like, oh, this is sick. And
one thing that I was reading was that after If I May, you say that you hit into a brick wall.
Yes. I did. Well, we all did. It was the pandemic. I mean, think about like, I've been gearing up my whole life to like drop my debut project, right? And we did it. I got my boy Jit on there, my girl Mahalia. I got Hit Boy, Soundwave,
All these
Dahi,
crazy
Jahan, Sweet,
collaborators.
Dame hopped on there. Like it was my dream project. I put my heart and soul into that thing. We worked on it for like probably 3 years total. Like it's a culmination of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And then I sold out my first hometown show in Portland, 600 people at Hawthorne Theater. We got a big sponsorship from Amazon to like throw it. Got to bring in creative directors. It's like my dream. I had a whole live band. Then I got to go on tour with Earth Gang and Mick Jenkins,
crazy.
and that was like, damn, like I
like,
wanted to do this my
here.
whole life, like and I earned this spot, like,
Facts.
because my project was dope. Like
Hell
I can
yeah.
rap. I earned a spot on this tour, and in my head, I'm like, looking into the future. Like I'm 22. It's my first year out of college. Like it's about to be sick, and we come home and the pandemic hits. And yeah, man, we lost it all. We lost fucking everything. So it was tough. It was like we had to spend a lot of time regrouping. Like, how are we gonna make this happen? And as everybody did, you know, it was and I think I speak for a lot of artists that it hit us a little bit differently in some ways. And like than the touring aspect, like, you know, a lot of us were relying on those bags. And
Especially as independent artists.
yeah. And so that was tough. And you know, I was in the time in a pretty intense, bad relationship, and that it was a lot of weight. And I was, you know, we were out of the protests every day, and I'm sure as people know in Portland, it was going on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's going on until like September. It's still going on, you know. But we were out there, and then we had the forest fires, and I had family's houses burning down and shit. So it was just like crazy.
Your family's house?
My uncle's house burned down.
Damn,
and we were worried
so
about my
sorry to hear
grandparents'
that.
house. Oh, it was cool. It's all good. But it was just like, it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of like, I wasn't making much music because I was just like, we were all just like trying to survive.
Yeah.
And, you know, after 2020 and 2021, got out of my relationship, which was a process, a fucking process, man. But after that, it was like, okay, now I can focus on a project. Now we're gonna work on Do My Own Stunts. We're gonna drop something, and that allowed me to like dip my toe into this like alternative rap world a little bit of like, because when I was on tour, I was like, man, I want more like mosh pit songs. I want more like headbanging shit, and that's like what Christo does.
Everyone I talk to tells me when you start performing, the way you think about the way, like the music you make changes.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, you're really thinking about what moves. I mean, that's what MC stands for, right? Moving the crowd. And so that's what you're thinking about, like, what's gonna make people react.
Exactly.
And that's why I love performing so much, is that was my mentality as like a Cypher MC, was like, I wanna say the shit that's gonna make everybody go, oh. So with performing, it's just what's gonna make people wanna slam their bodies against each other, which is a different way to think about music, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like with Hitting a Brick Wall, because like life happened to me last year, where it was just kind of like, there's a lot of things out of your control that you just really can't do about it. So I don't know, what I realized when you face that wall, either you let it stop you, or it's like, it gives you the opportunity to like pick up the pieces again. You can rearrange shit.
Yes, absolutely. That's if there's something about me, it's I'm gonna figure it out. I'm very, almost to a fault, determined. I think it causes my team a lot of headaches. Yeah, but yeah, it's, you know, our best qualities are our worst qualities, and that's mine. And so it pulled me through on this one. I'm fortunate to be, you know, an independent artist who made it through the pandemic and came out a lot fucking stronger.
What was, and I have to ask this, just because Christo's like one of my favorite producers.
Yeah, he's the best.
What was like the crazy studio moment you had with him?
You know, Christo and I didn't get to make a lot of it in the studio because it was during the pandemic. So that
happened in 2021.
So we weren't traveling, and you know, he lives in Atlanta, and we live in Portland. So it was a lot of, you know, we were getting on Zooms and FaceTiming, and it was a lot of just him sending packs. I've got like 100 Christo beats, Ty has 100 Christo beats on his hard drive. It was a lot of that, and then we'd get on Zooms and do some details or change some production stuff. And Ty and I did a lot of that as well, just like transitions between songs. And so yeah, but Christo is like the sweetest guy. He's the best. He's one of my favorite producers as well.
I always found like the concept of like an artist producer joint album very interesting because it's like you guys have to meet in the middle.
Right. Yeah, it's very collaborative. It's like you're both putting your taste on it, which was super important to me. Like I really wanted Christo to feel, and it's tough because Christo's like the nicest, so he's like, whatever you want to do, and I'm like, well, bro, like this is your project too. I want to put your name on this. Like let's fucking do this. So yeah, it was that was the fun part about it, was like you really get to. It's like being on a different playground than you've been on before. Like maybe you've been on the slide, but now you're like in slide world. That was a bad analogy, like. That was what it was like.
I got it though.
That's what it was like, yeah.
I was looking at your Twitter, and before I talk about the new singles, so 2 EPs and 1 album?
2 EPs and an album.
How's that coming along?
It's coming along great. I think I just finished writing the first one, and you know I've got a really strong selection for my second one that I hope to finish up like by the end of this month, if all goes well. But I'm feeling really good about it. I'm really excited. I think I've never been so clear sonically on what I want to do, and I've never written songs at this level in my life before. Really? I've never like rapped at this level before. I've never like sounded this effortless doing it. The beats are fucking crazy. Most of them are produced by Felix Leon, who did Look at You and Catalyst for me. And he's a fucking freak as well. So yeah, I'm stoked. It's gonna be sick. I think it's gonna like shake shit up for sure.
How have you been dealing with the reception of the new single so far? Because I've been seeing that shit going up.
Look at You?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think people are starting to I think it's starting to make sense. I think like the lane that I'm trying to fill is starting to like click in people's minds, which has been really dope. I'm definitely getting some expected backlash from like the men who probably don't get as much pussy as they would like. And that's fine, that's cool. I'm definitely, there's definitely days where it gets to me, but I also like, I really try to remind myself that like people's perception of me has way more to do with them than it does with me. So that's kind of a peaceful reminder. The response has been crazy.
Yeah,
people are really loving it, and for the first time I'm really proud of this because it was intentional and it was hard as fuck to do, but we finally got my listeners on Spotify to 50% men and 50% women.
Let's go.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's been fucking sick. I'm stoked. I'm really stoked. And there's more where it came from. I'm hoping to do some kind of Look at You remix when it makes sense and
really
keep pushing them. Yeah, I think that we wanted to put that song out later in the year because that's the direction we're going. So I wanted people to like get used to the sound.
Yeah. I also feel like in terms of just like looking at, I don't know, like looking at the comments, it can go both ways. Like you can fixate yourself on the bad and just be miserable, or just kind of like look around and be like, oh no, I'm blessed.
Right, definitely. And it's like, the thing is, I'm proud of whatever I put out. Like,
you should be. Yeah.
I'm proud of the lyrics I write, and I know that even though somehow all these men are getting out of this is like sex, it's like, bro, like, I'm really rapping my ass off, and if all you're getting out of this is that I fuck, then that's cool, because there's that too. But like, I'm rapping my ass off. Like, listen to the bars. So I'm proud of it. I stand on it. I stand on all of it, and I think people will adapt, and if they don't, then they can leave because I don't do it for them. And and there's more where that came from. So get on or get off. Type shit.
I already went over time. I told you I have a tendency to go long.
That's cool.
So I can sit here and talk to you for hours, but I want to ask one last thing. If there's one thing you leave your fans with, and what would it be?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Gets you a lot farther than trying to be somebody else.
Big facts. I think that's a good stop.
Yeah.
To stop at. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. This is probably one of my favorite interviews I've ever done.
Let's go. I like hearing that.
Yeah, this was dope.
Where can people find you at?
They can find me on Twitter at Wynne, Wynne, and then everything else is at Sina Wynne, Sinawynne. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple,
All
Amazon.
that. 2 EPs album
Tidal.
coming out. All right, cheers to that.
Cheers. I don't know how to say left. Pretend like I do.